Hello, it's Wednesday and it's time for another Business Analysis Live. I'm Susan Moore. I'm the Community Engagement Manager at the International Institute of Business Analysis. We have been hearing a lot about AI these days. It seems like it is everywhere from fast food restaurants to um, online shopping to just about anything that's happening. One of the things that you may not be thinking about as you are using AI is the impact of cybersecurity on AI. And those two things are kind of colliding in the world at the moment. And I know that it's been something that our business analysis community has been talking about because our next guest is getting asked a lot of questions about how those two things work together. So, on today's episode, AI and cybersecurity, I am super happy to welcome to the stage Bindu Channaveerappa. Hey, Bindu.
Hello, Susan. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for coming to join us today. I always enjoy chatting with you because it just seems like we kind of vibe naturally. And so when you and I caught up recently, I said, "Tell me, you've been around the world speaking. What are people asking you about?" And before you answer that question, you've been our guest a couple of times on here, but first, I'd like for you to introduce yourself to the audience, tell people a little bit about you and why they are asking you about AI and cybersecurity.
First of all, thank you, Susan, once again for inviting me to be the guest here. And it's always great to speak with the community. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Bindu Channaveerappa. I'm a business analysis consultant. I think if I look back, I've been a BA all my life, consciously and unconsciously. So, in the last 7 to 8 years, I've been focusing more on cybersecurity for business analysts. As part of that work, I've been a co author on the CCA certification as well. And currently, the founder of Cybersecurity for Business Analysts, which is a space that provides cybersecurity education and services, and of course, with that, business analysis services and consultation and training as well. So, yeah, along with that, I love working with the community. So, I do take every opportunity to talk about this, to share, because as I'm sure all of you might have are experiencing, that the landscape is shifting very, very fast than we could imagine. So, which means we have to adapt as business analysts. And when we talk about adapting, what is that we are adapting to is technology, because technology is becoming pervasive. So when there is technology, there has to be cybersecurity. It's like two ends of the stake. That's how I call it. So you can't pick up one end and not pick up the other. So cybersecurity is no more, or security holistically, is no more something an NFR or an add-on. So it is very much should be part of our day-to-day business analysis, and that's exactly what I am advocating, and I'm also on a mission to probably educate almost every BA to be aware of cybersecurity and make that part of their day to day work within 2030. So that's about me. Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, as you and I have talked, by the way, I also want to add that you wrote a book on this.
Yes, on
So there's that.
cybersecurity and business analysis. Yes. If
And
you can see, I don't know, with the
yeah, let's
screen.
see. Well,
Not
it's
really.
there we go.
Yeah.
Cybersecurity and business analysis. There you go. And so you give a lot of really good information for because my sense is for the folks that I've talked to in our community about cybersecurity, they tend to think that it is about what happens after you've been hacked or after you've had some sort of incident. But really, what cybersecurity and business analysis is well upfront of all of that. And if you know it, because you are trying to think about ways that you could be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Is that true? Yeah.
Absolutely. I think a very common analogy I could give is, when you're constructing something, you lay the foundation, and the foundation is only laid to the depth in the ground, depending on the length of the building that's going to stand out. So which means you're talking about security there as well. So it is in everything that we do. It's basically risk. As BAs, we constantly look at risks. We constantly understand that it varies, it changes. Some pop up at the late part, or some mitigate. So it's all about evolving those risks. And similarly, when we talk about any project, security is part of every fabric or the DNA of every activity that we do.
It is, yeah, and I think that talking about how you build a house, because there's other ways that you reduce risk when you are building a house, right? We make sure that that we wrap it so that the elements can't get inside. We make sure that we check the grading of the land so that water doesn't come in. All of those things we have
Exactly.
to be thinking about, and they are dependent upon the environment around us. Now, maybe my sense is that people think of AI as maybe one thing, but let's define what you're talking about when you're talking about AI. So, how do you define AI in this space?
I think that's actually a really great point, starting point, Susan, because we talk about AI, and every time, I think somewhere we need to understand what AI is and what AI isn't. In fact, my journey with AI, or specifically RPA, started in 2019. So, first part of the project was RPA, and the second part we wanted to bring in AI. So, since then, my understanding has been evolving, and especially now with Gen AI, which provides a countless number of ways to use AI. Every single day, it's a new learning. And whenever I speak with people on AI, and I'm sure you might have experienced as well, almost every second conference topic will be based on AI. So everybody comes from their perspective. So every time when I hear, I'm reminded about the story of the blind man and the elephant, which actually I was sharing with you earlier as well, where the one of the blind people, they come and they touch the body and they say, oh, it's like a wall, or someone says it's like a rope, someone says it's like a tree trunk. So the point here is all of them are correct in their own way, but they are all incomplete. So but the way I think AI is exactly like that. All of us are seeing it from different experiences. It could be automation, it could be chatbots, it could be data analysis, or even creativity. But yet, the whole picture is much bigger than all of these pieces. So I always share this, that AI is an incredible tool. Probably, I feel, one of the best transformative tool that we have invented so far. But the challenge, or the real question that always comes to my mind, is, are we prepared for it? So it's like having a precision tool and not knowing how to use it. So with anything, we always have to know how to use it, and we also have to know how not to use it. So at its core, the way I see AI is, it's nothing but algorithm or a math that learns from data. Data is the engine for it, and it just not learns, it also can make those decisions and take actions without a human intervention. Sometimes it does a great job, other times it can be wrong, but very confidently wrong as well. So so which means the point here is, it is a very incredible tool, especially very efficient, fast, good learner. It's like a digital intern. I think I've heard even Angela shared this as an intern, and which I also experience, because whenever I'm prompting, I actually tell what the role is. So it is actually the digital intern who not only understands the steps that you're asking it to do, but again, at the same time, it learns, and next time it can even take action without being involved. So when it comes to security, it's exactly the same, where There's a lot of work, there's a lot of pressure, because today our threat landscape is so much complex and complicated, with lot many systems, lot many third party suppliers connecting across the world, different locations, different touch points. We have expanded like ever. Couldn't even imagine the kind of lifestyle that we are having, probably even 10 years back. So all of this is possible only because of technology. And as I was mentioning, when there is technology, there's always security. So today there's a lot of pressure. So with AI, with its capacity to think faster, be more efficient, we can, or we are harnessing its power to help identify threats and many other things within the cybersecurity space. And yeah, with this, I think it's, if with any tool, it's a double-edged sword, and even here as well.
And so you said that technology introduces risk, and I bet if we think about the kinds of systems that we have in our organizations today, so let's take AI out of it for a moment, there's probably a list of the kinds of risk that might be introduced. But as we think about what AI has the ability to do, because AI, I think you said it, AI is a technology. So we need to think about it in terms of it is another kind of technology that's heavily dependent on data, and it produces more or less data with some sort of context. So as I'm hearing you, what I'm thinking is the risk, I think, expand with AI, because the risk now are, what does it do with data that is not good? It can make poor decisions, which, if left unchecked by a human, could result in risk or real trouble in organizations. Um, is that kind of, is that also the domain of cybersecurity? The things that, the outcomes that happen because of AI?
I think that's again, what to say, it's sitting on the fence, because that's again a big discussion. Who owns the responsibility of AI? And that's again, probably many governments are also kind of trying to bring in governances across. But in terms of risk itself, definitely that is a risk, and that probably, I think, as business analysts, we should be raising that, because identifying those risks is part of our analysis, whether it is the quality, data quality, or even the biases within the algorithms, or even to kind of understand what are those decisions made of. Because today, I'm sure you might have also heard, there are many false positives, and people are, or the teams are dealing with it, which I think, from the threat and being, the fatigue, today we are calling it as alert fatigue or something like that. That means
Okay.
it's just being alerted. But again, having said that, we are in a learning curve, we are in an evolving phase. I think last time when I was in Poland, there was a session, again, which was talking about, does AI is really required for the project. So basically, the research that was shared was, it was actually surprising. 95 of the projects had actually failed. But I think that is again the learning curve, because we are trying to, like as I said in the beginning, we have this incredible tool, but we are not prepared for it. When I say we are not prepared for it, is we first of all don't have complete understanding of what it is and what the capabilities are and how to use it and how not to use it. So which means, it's any new shiny gadget that's out there, it becomes a silver bullet to solve everything. And if one company is doing, it's everybody has to ride the wave, the AI wave, which is happening. So that's again another added reason as well, why everybody are just jumping on it. But that's exactly where, from a BA perspective, we can raise those risks. We can even identify whether AI could really add any value, like with any other things that we analyze, whatever the business objective that we want to deliver, the way we deliver, we provide options. We suggest what's the best option. So again, if we are going with AI, is it really viable? Is it required? Are we going to really, or is it just something everybody wants to do? We want to do it. I think that's again the industry is kind of maturing because many of them are learning from the failures. And there are good stories as well, and there are not so good learning stories as well. But in to give you definitely one of the good stories is I think it is Microsoft Defender or Norton. I'm not too sure. I think probably Defender. They are kind of AI. Their AI is actually going through triaging probably 75, 78 trillion security alerts in a day. It could be from emails, passwords, laptops, endpoints, IoT, cloud, doesn't matter. So basically, it's just trying to check every second, every point, 24 by 7. And this is actually humanly not possible at all.
Right.
And the response time, the alert, and one of the fascinating thing which for me was in this particular blog was today, like when we are providing a solution, like for example, if in our organization there's an attack or if there's a malware, we kind of try to fix it locally within our organization. But now with Defender kind of applications or organizations, when because it's on the cloud, when they identify within minutes, they just not sort it there, but it's across all the connected systems globally. So that is the actually wonder of AI to actually speak so, because it does things instantly. And I think with that, there's a lot of damage that can be avoided in terms of financially or the reputation as well. So yeah, it's again how we use it, but definitely something that risk worth talking about.
Yeah. I I am struck by how quickly many of us trust AI, even though we don't understand how it does what it does. And I think therein lies a really significant risk, and maybe why some of these projects, these AI projects, are failing. I think I was reading an article this morning from in a business journal about the majority of agentic AI projects are failing, and I suspect it is because we go in with really high hopes of all of the amazing things that it's going to be able to automate, only to get a bunch of outcomes that we don't understand or that
Yeah.
aren't really beneficial. So there's that. And I wonder if as AI and cybersecurity are mashing together, how much we need to change our own attitudes about the technology of AI and how we think about risk. Rather than just focusing solely on the technology, I almost see that we need to kind of check ourselves. Um, I know when you were here last, we talked about reflection. And so I almost wonder if that's not the thing that we need to be doing as we are getting started with these AI initiatives.
You touched upon the word reflection, which I wasn't prepared, but something that's always, I mean, I can go on. That's what they say. Even though
I
I'm not prepared, I can go on because again, when we are talking so much within the AI space, Susan, I feel somewhere because it's kind of knocking everybody's or world in one way or the other.
Mhm.
It could be in good way or it could be in shocking ways with jobs and all the fear mongering things that is happening there. But somewhere I always feel that shift is happening. And if you look back through the history, every time when things have happened like this, it has been a point where we as the community or the humanity have to take stock of where we are going. It's like we are on a journey, and even on a project, we kind of map out what are the benefits and how do we know we are on the particular journey. So similarly, I think somewhere these points really make us reflect on where we are going. somewhere do we need to pivot accordingly. And adapting is something which is a nature law of nature, which nobody can actually escape it, which is in a good way, because that's how we grow. I think after a certain age, if not physically, mental growth is continuing no matter what the age is. So again, these are those moments which really brings reflection to the forefront, because as BAs we are not getting bogged down into the day-to-day work of writing lot many things or trying to do the normal grind work. So we can take the support of technology or the AI specifically for all the grind work, and it really gives us that space or the mental space to actually think what it is. And that's exactly why I feel very strongly that as BAs we don't lose our job. Probably we will be evolving, which again, like looking back 2 decades, when I started my career, I was working on a single laptop, as a sorry, not even laptop, the desktop, where everything was happening. Then everything connected, and when everything started connecting, the way we do business changed. So which means every time there has been a constant adaptation to the new changing landscape. And I think that's very easy for business analysts, because we somewhere our mindset is we are all constant learners. Otherwise, we wouldn't be a BA, because every role demands different.
That's
Tools,
right.
skill set, and we need to think, we need to have our intellectual capabilities always up high. So that means we are lifelong learners. So again, here I think this is giving us this opportunity. And when we talk about human in the loop, I always see a BA to be that person, or somebody with the BA skills, who has to provide that context. Because when we talk about AI, again, talking about like interns, they, again, when you say AI, it can, it is fast, it is efficient, but it doesn't know the culture, it doesn't know the ethics, it doesn't know the right or wrong or good or bad. It can only learn something is right or wrong, or something is normal or abnormal based on the data that it is learning. So these are some of the context that as BAs we should be providing, and working with the team. So like we say, BAs are the bridge between the business and the technology. But today, this technology has kind of expanded. So that means the bridge is also kind of widened, where we not only deal with or not only collaborate with the business and technology. Now it's wide. It could be data, it could be security, it could be AI, it could be ethics, it could be when we say compliance, there are multiple levels of compliances here again. So, as BAs, I think we now have to be more efficient in terms of not the quantity, but the quality,
Hmm.
where we can collaborate with all of these different widened horizon. So somewhere I think their adaptability comes, and to understand all of this, going back to the point of reflection, is something there. When you sit back, like watching a movie, and you see how exactly the things are happening, then you get that understanding. So definitely I find reflection more than ever. And just to add another point to this, is competing with AI is foolishness. We shouldn't
Competing
be
in
doing.
competing in what way? Like us trying to be as good as or as efficient as?
Exactly,
Okay.
because that is not possible, and that is definitely. First of all, let me say, competing itself is wrong in any
Right.
sense,
Right.
because I think by nature we are all enough, complete in our own ways. Just by competing, we identify the shortcomings, which are actually not the shortcomings. So basically, competing itself is wrong, but competing with the wrong competitor is even stupidity. So there's no point. But on the contrary, I think we need to focus on what exactly makes us human.
Mm.
So, bringing that ethical compass, or bringing that empathy, bringing those fairness in what we do is something very much important. So, along with that, as you can see, there are so many different new roles that are shaping up. in these areas as well, which again will need business analysis skills, our core skills. So I think there again, that there's a lot of scope for that. So definitely, reflection is something, going and starting, or just trying to see who we are, and from that space, operating is, I find it much more comfortable, confident, and not being worked out of whatever the things that is happening surrounding us.
I am so here's kind of what you're making me think about. So we I think we all understand the strengths of AI. You've said it's fast, it's efficient, it can make very quick decisions. Those are good things and things we can't quote unquote compete with, but it has lots of weaknesses. And you've talked about some of those. I think that instead of us as business analysis professionals getting really worried about losing our jobs, I think there's a lot of opportunity for us in those things that you've identified as weaknesses of AI. Um, so, you know, making decisions with bad or flawed data. I think there's an opportunity for business analysis professionals to help to make sure that data is structured well, is accurate, is of good quality. I think there's opportunities for business analysis professionals in validating decisions that are coming out of this and not necessarily scrutinizing the details of that decision, but also playing out the impacts of those decisions forward because AI can't do that, or at least not do that well. Are there other weaknesses of AI that you see as opportunities for business analysis professionals to step forward?
Uh, you mentioned two things, and I would just like to dive into a little bit deeper so
Okay.
that we really get the sense of it. One thing you mentioned was data. In fact, I was just having a conversation the other day, where we were talking about data being the engine. And probably you know Terry Barish. So he works in the data space. So he has actually identified uh, data readiness framework. So we were actually going through that in detail. So there's a lot of work that BAs can do when it comes to preparing data. It is just not structuring. So there's a lot of data hygiene that happens. So every aspect of it, every step of that particular framework, as we were discussing, there is a core BA work that goes into it, the BA activities that go into it, the BA mindset that goes into it. So there is, again, yeah, so that is one thing probably as BAs we can definitely contribute to the topic. And the other thing you mentioned was impact. I think, Susan, that is really, really huge. For the research I was doing when I was writing the book, one of the examples that I came across when it I think it's relating to ethics. Anyway, the story, not the story. The thing is, the situation here is when Facebook decided to have a like button, the whole intention was to kind of spread joy. So they wanted that somebody, when they like, it's basically spreading joy, but they never ever anticipated the negative impacts of that. They never thought that that could be the cause of teenage suicide as well, or any other the negative impacts of it. So again, I always share this as well. When today it's just not the positive impacts that we have to see, we also have to see the negative impacts. And again, at different levels, whether what is the impact, positive and negative, when it comes to the project or the value that we are delivering for a particular stakeholder, and the impacts of the same thing at the organization level or the society level or even the ecosystem, because today everything is so very interconnected. We will actually not know much ahead in advance what the impacts would be and how this particular feature can actually shape up into. So as much as the analysis goes, that's exactly where I find there's a lot of value that BAs can bring in when they are doing that. I always say to kind of, we BAs were like, we were conducting the orchestra. So right now, with instead of two or three instruments, now we have a lot more instruments. So no matter, you just take any particular aspect or any particular team that we are working, there is that BA work, and I always feel there's a lot to do now with the expansion. In fact, we need more BAs because it's expanded. We as individual BAs have to definitely, we need to step up. We need to learn, study, whatever it is, upskill ourselves so that we are ready to actually conduct. Because definitely in the new landscape, we cannot be experts in all of those. So focusing on any one niche, I think now is the time. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what PAs can really, really contribute.
And I think we can also advocate for what good use of AI would look like to avoid some of this cybersecurity slash security. Maybe it's all cybersecurity these days. Any kind of
Yeah,
security is cybersecurity, really. But I think we can be advocates in our organizations for what good business analysis for AI can look like and maybe should look like.
maybe
Because
that
I
is
do,
something.
yeah, go ahead.
No, no, I was just saying maybe that is something as IIBA we should think about it to bring in some, yeah, ethical
Well,
lens to it.
there's actually on our website, Fabricio Laguna and Michael Agello have produced a kind of an opening statement on what business analysis for AI would look like. So I don't have a link, and I don't know if either of my marketing coworkers are on. But if you guys are on, if you can drop in that business analysis for AI link. If not, I'll make sure that it's in the description of the YouTube.
Yeah. Somebody
So
also on the comments were asking the link for the book. So
yeah,
maybe
if
if
do
I
you have
can, I
that?
will drop it. Yes.
Perfect. I was trying to find it, but it was, I don't know. Google
Yeah.
wasn't behaving for me today.
Again, if they can go through the link on my website, they get an
Yeah.
additional author discount 30%, which is added benefit
Wow.
rather than going directly. So that probably would help. So let me see if I can. I think it's asking me to connect to the YouTube account to join the chat. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, when I'm done, I
Okay.
will do it. Otherwise, I can share it with you.
Yeah, yeah, and then I can include it in the description. Um,
Yes.
well, let's see. I tell you what, we have sparked a whole lot of conversation over in our comments. I have starred a couple. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna put some of these up. So you mentioned this was the run. Rabalani was asking about the details of the book. We
Yeah,
will
I
get
have.
you those.
Yeah, I
Um,
have sent it to you on the private chat. So maybe whenever,
Perfect.
yeah, you can add it to the comments.
I can drop this into the YouTube chat, but I will make sure that we also drop it in the LinkedIn chat separately. So there you go, Rabalani. I will respond to you and make sure that you have that. Thank you. Um, let's see. So here we have another human factors intrigue me as we become too dependent on AI and lose some of the human elements. I think that is I think that is maybe what you see organizations experiencing right now is they are, boy, we've got to harness AI. It's going to make a magic happen. And then they just trust it and rely on it too much and don't really get the outcomes they're looking for.
Yeah, and I think even at an individual level as well, the more we are relying on it, the more we are losing our independence.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Or the ability to think for ourselves. That's what's scary.
Absolutely, absolutely. I myself am experiencing it that whenever I used to write emails, somewhere, I used to spend the time and go through it. But now I'm finding it, I'm losing it because I get the help of AI. But one point which I would like to highlight here when we talk about dependency, Susan, is this is again as part of the risk workshop that I do. I always highlight. Um, Normally, when I talk in the workshops or my trainings, we go through a fantastic risk exercise. It's fun and fantastic. But one thing that all of us miss is recognizing some of those fundamental risks, existential risks, because we think that cannot happen. And one simple example is unavailability of internet.
Right.
We can never fathom that in our minds that this is a possibility. But we are experiencing, we are seeing, I think yesterday, day before, AWS was down, so Snapchat was not available. And I know my children didn't know how to communicate with their friends. But I
Oh
was, I
no,
was,
they
I
gotta
was
talk
really,
to you.
I was having a laugh. So what the point I'm trying to make here is, and we also are seeing, and probably in the last few months itself, we have heard, if we haven't experienced firsthand, that there has been some fires here, some unavailability of this technology, that technology. And I know in the UK itself, repetitively, I think 2 or 3 months, the banking systems were down. The payment or the wages wasn't paid on time. People couldn't honor their direct debits. It impacted their credit reports. So the whole point I'm trying to make here is some of those things where we think that this cannot break, it can break.
That's right.
So dependence, because today our lives are completely technology oriented. I think some people even wear their watches when they sleep because they want to monitor even that. And I know one of my children does that. So the point here is, the more we are dependent, the more we will become helpless when that is not available. And when I say helpless, it could be physical, it could be mental, it could be emotional. And that is where, as BAs, like when we talk about, when we analyze stuff, I think we have to analyze all aspects today. Somewhere, we have to take those guards and just look at 365 degrees to actually assess the impacts and analyze things.
Yeah, because you're right. It is not just limited to the tool, the organization, the problem that you're solving. You really have to go beyond that. And again, I think that's, one of the weaknesses that we have in our organizations is we've got a lot of people who are focused on whatever that project outcome is,
Yeah,
reduce loss, increase profit, like whatever those outcomes are, but at the expense of not sometimes seeing the problems that are existential, that could result in
yeah,
greater harms to
exactly.
humanity.
Yeah, I think probably if we could learn from COVID or the current wars that's happening where we didn't even anticipate. But I'm really glad that you mentioned this point, because this is again one of the common questions that I get is, we actually don't have time for analysis, and you tell us to do analysis for all these levels. Where is the time? Or even if we do, is it really required? Because like as you identified, okay, what's the benefit that it's going to, monetary benefit that it's going to serve, or what's the profit if the focus is on that? But then again, I talk about, uh, as a BA, business analysis cannot be seen just as a role. I always say business analysis is a responsibility. So, whether the organization definitely takes in those points or not is immaterial, because I am not the decision maker as a business analyst. However, I have a responsibility to deliver accurate and complete analysis, and that's where my job stops. So, not giving that or giving an incomplete analysis means I haven't actually done my job well as a business analyst. So, that is where we draw the line, that no matter how the organization sees our business case, for example, we delivering a complete analysis is our job. Again, the analogies I kind of use is when you go to a doctor, you believe that whatever the prescribed prescription or the diagnosis the doctor does is accurate. So I always feel there is an undocumented trust between the business analyst and their clients or organization, that our analysis is complete and accurate, and that because they are making decisions based on that. So maybe out of 10 people, one person or two people might actually pick up those ethical points or those existential crises or the risk that you have raised. But who knows, that can be a game changer for the organization. So I think somewhere we cannot take a reason that if somebody is not taking our analysis, that doesn't make us stop delivering a complete one.
That's right. Just because they don't accept what you're providing doesn't mean that it's not valuable.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, I agree with you. And we've talked several times about risk management. That part of what business analysis might look like um, for AI looks a lot like risk management. And I just think back to my working in a PMO for a number of years, and I always thought, well, risk management is the domain of project managers, but that's not true. That is really not true. Um, the Babok guide, which is right here, it's holding up my plant, but it's very valuable. It talks about risk management being part of what business analysis professionals do as well. So
yeah.
that is something that we should be thinking about, not just how does something work? How am I putting together requirements for it? How am I evaluating risk and letting folks know that there are these potential issues that we might encounter. Like that's part of the job.
Absolutely. And it is just not business analysts. I feel it's everybody's responsibility. When it comes to security, I always say it's just not one person's or it's security team, it's everybody's responsibility. Similarly, when it comes to risks, it doesn't matter who raises it or who actually works on it. It is whoever sees it, they have to raise it. So it is like that. And for that, having a security mindset is fundamental, because without that, even if there is a risk right in front of us, we might not be able to see because we don't have that lens. And having that security mindset really really helps to identify those risks, because end of the day, security is nothing but all the risks taken care.
That's right. So that's why I think as business analysis professionals, we need to stop thinking cybersecurity is knowing what the threats are, how to use some technology in order to address those. It is not just that. It is for some professionals in that domain, but for us, it looks like risk management. It looks like ethics. It looks like data analysis. It looks like business analysis. Um,
Absolutely spot
yeah.
on. Yeah.
So let's see. So we've got just a couple of minutes left. I'm going to pop in maybe a couple of other thoughts here. Here we have, I believe, the fear of job loss to AI is natural. However, AI can't work in isolation. It's an enabler, does not have human context, which is still needed, and business analysis professionals provide this. Yeah, thank you. I think that is definitely a message we want people to leave with today.
Well said.
Um, let's see. And then we've got another one here where the human factor and impact can never be overemphasized. I wish more leaders who are thinking about introducing AI or AI projects into their organization would think this is a human project, it's enabled by AI instead of the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. It just reminds me, when I started my career, one of my seniors told me, I was a techie, I was coding. So he said, even though you're coding, Bindu, always remember you're in people's business. No matter what tool, what technology comes, you're always in people's business. That means you are doing something that is going to impact people or a human life. So somewhere I think that really stuck with me. So it doesn't matter what technology we use, we are trying to bring a change in a stakeholder's experience,
Yeah,
and that is a responsibility.
yes. Um, Speaking of cybersecurity, so you've talked about you do lots of talks and you are writing books in your training. And so something that I wanted to share with folks because it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, by the way. October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month every year. Um, this month we have an on-demand webinar, and it's one of your webinars. You did it last year. It's Elevate Your Cybersecurity Game. And I've got this new cool QR code gadget. Let's see, we're going to make this thing work. Here you go. So, probably some of you are on your device. I wonder how this works. Yeah. I have a QR code. If you can figure out a way to snap a picture of that, it'll take you over to the page and you can get this on demand webinar and a little bit of information about Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And if you aren't able to click the QR code, don't worry, I will make sure that I put a link into our chat today.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing
It,
this, Susan. I think I remember when we had it last year, probably. It was one of the webinars, I think around probably 400 or 500 people registered and attended, something like that. So that was actually a big record for me when
yeah.
compared to those numbers. I do remember it now. Yeah.
And we are already talking about having you come back and do another webinar on something you're pretty passionate about, which is IIBA's certificate in cybersecurity analysis. So it is a certification, technically certificate. They're slightly different, but it's a program that we've had for a little while, and you do some preparation um, training for that as well.
Yeah. That would be good. Thank you for the
Yeah.
opportunity.
So we're looking forward to having you back. I will make sure that people know when we're going to have that. Let's see. Well, I think that might be it today. We want to thank all you guys for dropping your thoughts in there. You know what? It's always nice. I know I have always been a little nervous talking about cybersecurity because I also believed that it was something more technical. But let's see here. There was something that just came in. Um, learning a
Thank
lot.
you for all the comments. I'm really loving it. I think my takeaway would be I'm really learning a lot in this room.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah,
That's the whole idea. Yes, we want you to really have tangible takeaways that you can implement it in your work. Definitely.
yes, yes,
Thank you.
exactly. All right. Well, Bindu, I have, as always, I have enjoyed catching up with you today and talking more about cybersecurity and AI. And I know you're going to be talking about it more in your trainings and as you are around the globe talking to people about it. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for the opportunity once again, Susan. As always, love. I think you said it right in the beginning. We have that vibe, we connect well. And I think comments are actually, so I'm going to spend some time after the call here to go through the comments. There are quite a few. And
There are
hopefully, if
quite a
there are
few
any
really
suggestions,
detailed ones, I think, that
yeah,
are
yeah,
right up your alley. Yeah. All
definitely,
right.
I would go through that. Thank you all for joining once again and see you all around soon. I'm
Yeah.
on LinkedIn, so if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And I would love to hear more stories from you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So that is our episode today. I hope you've got some takeaways that maybe you will be thinking about your role in cybersecurity and AI. As a business analysis professionals, you've got a lot of value and a lot of skills that you can offer. We'll be back in 2 weeks and we're going to do a little something different. We're going to be talking about your authentic voice, and I've got an opera singer. So you're going to want to come back because there could be singing and maybe some dancing too. Who knows? We look forward to seeing you then. So take care. Bye bye.